Was it good banter in the car? Oh my God. Yeah, okay. You were just a listener, or were you somehow interjecting?
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. And wait till he's older. He's only 19.
All right, it looks like we are all
But it's
present.
up until 11th grade when you're driving them. You still have a little bit part of them, and then they start driving. And you go, what happened? Oh, nothing. You don't even get any of the stories. You don't know who actually.
He has quite a crew. It's always funny.
Yeah.
It's always funny.
Okay. That's good. They're all staying out of trouble.
As
much as possible.
All right, let's reconvene with all members present and the mayor coming on virtually. I ask all those that are able to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing after the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we often do, we remember those that we have lost recently, and today being September 11th, we will also remember those we lost 22 years ago. But a few of our recent Madison residents, Jennifer Lyle, lifelong Madison resident, died on July 21st. She was 71, survived by her daughter Dana, her mother Serena Whitson, 5 brothers, Herbie, David, John, Warren, and Robert, 3 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. She was born in 1952, lifelong resident of Madison, 1970 graduate of Madison High School, and proudly lived in the same apartment on Waverly Place for over 34 years. And she was well known by many Madison business owners for her friendly, good-hearted nature. She loved her hometown and being close to her family and close friends. She had a career at Clement Foster in Morristown for over 30 years, and she'll be remembered for her sweet disposition, positivity, and her smile, which could always light up a room. And her love of staying up late to watch horror movies and being referred to as a cool lady. And then Rick Browse, who actually was never a Madison resident, but a longtime influence in Madison, son-in-law of former council member Sam Gordon. He died on August 26th, the youngest of 3 brothers. Rick grew up in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, playing stickball in the shadow of the Natural History Museum and singing in the Metropolitan Opera, and even getting kicked out of Hebrew school. He met the love of his life, Marcia Gordon, on a blind date. They were engaged 6 weeks later. They spent the next 54 years building family, a business, and a life of meaning together. Rick, along with Marcia, with Sam at the family business of Sam Gordon's, they joined Marcia's father, Sam, and Rick and Marcia took over the business when Sam retired to Florida. They ran the appliance business where the current Stop and Shop parking lot is until they sold and it merged with Carl's Appliance. Rick was also a longtime member of Madison Rotary, where he served as president. Also, Shade Thomas Cronin passed away on August 16th from complications of COPD and years of managing multiple chronic illnesses. Shade was born in 1939 in Memphis, Tennessee. Only child, grew up in Little Rock, graduated from Little Rock Central High School just prior to integration of the high school. She graduated with a degree in math from Mary Baldwin College and went on to be a systems engineer with IBM. She met Norman Cronin, whom she married in 1965 in Little Rock. Shade and Norman moved to Madison, where 3 of their 5 stepchildren, Joe, Kelly, and Cliff, came to live with them. In 1968, her daughter Shade was born a few years later. Her daughter Shade served on our Board of Education. Shade was very active with the volunteer community, serving as president of the community house for the Thursday Morning Club, president of the Friends of the Madison Public Library, and a library volunteer for Madison Public Schools. When their children were older, she went back to school to update her computer skills and went back to work until she and Norman retired to Cape Cod. After Norman's passing, she moved back to Madison to be with her daughter, and she was also predeceased by her stepdaughter, Corey. She's survived by her daughter, Shade, stepchildren, Kim, Craig, Kelly, and Cliff, and her 8 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. Also, last week on September 4th, we lost Sandy Kolakowski. And I don't have her obituary at this time, but many know Sandy as a lifelong Madison resident with a great love of her hometown. She, along with her husband, Stephen Stockard, could be seen supporting Madison in so many different ways. Sandy led the crusade to save the theater. While she was not successful, she did an amazing job of raising awareness of the historic building and giving it a chance. And as mentioned, today we meet on September 11th. So we will take a few minutes now to remember the 6 Madison residents who were lost on September 11th, 2001. I will ask each of the council members to share the names and stories of the 6 who are our friends and our neighbors. Council President Hoover, would you like to start?
Yes. James L. Crawford, Jr. died at age 33. He was an equity trader at Cantor Fitzgerald, working on the 104th floor of One World Trade Center. By all accounts, he was an active sportsman and friend to all, according to a profile published in the New York Times. Crawford's only child, Isabel, will be celebrating her 22nd birthday in November, having been born 2 months after his death. James will be 55 now.
Cantor Fitzgerald employee Timothy Robert Hughes died at the age of 43. He worked on the 105th floor of One World Trade Center as a currency options trader in emerging markets. His children, Tim, Ken, and Chrissy, helped get Hughes involved in coaching youth sports here in town. Tim and his wife, Karen, enjoyed renovating old houses, earning an award from the Borough for the renovation of their 99-year-old Victorian home. Timothy Hughes would be 65 now.
Patrick J. McGuire was age 40 when he worked as a money broker for Euro Brokers Incorporated on the 84th floor of Two World Trade Center. Known for his Irish sense of humor, McGuire's wife Danielle found a manila envelope of jokes among her husband's insurance papers after his death, the New York Times reported.
Peter M. West, 54, worked as a municipal bond broker, also with Cantor Fitzgerald. A resident of Pottersville, but grew up in Madison and graduated from Madison High School. He and his wife, Eileen, had a daughter, Meredith, and a son, Matthew. Outside of work, West gravitated toward risks of a different sort, such as hang gliding, skydiving, and cruising the country on his Harley motorcycle, the New York Times reported. Peter West would be 76 now.
Donald Arthur Peterson, 66 at the time of his passing, and his wife passed away that day. Former head of Continental Electric in New Jersey and a former member of the New Jersey Board of Education. He had started working as a Christian missionary about 10 years before his passing with his wife. Donald's personal Bible with a handwritten list of people he was praying for was recovered at the Flight 93 crash site. Donald left behind 6 children, 3 from a previous marriage, and had recently become a grandfather. He would be 88 years old now.
Jean Holdley Peterson, age 55, a former nurse, nursing instructor, and volunteer EMT, as well as wife to Donald. Volunteerism driven by deep faith filled her and her husband's retirement years. Donald and Jean weren't supposed to be on Flight 93, which crashed near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Headed to a family trip to Yosemite National Park in California, they found seats in row 14 when they arrived at Newark International Airport early and found their original flight delayed and overbooked. Jean left behind 6 children, 3 from a previous marriage, and had recently become a grandmother. Jean would be 77.
Thank you. It's 2 decades later, it doesn't get any easier to listen to the loss of that day. So let us observe a moment of silence to remember the 2,990 individuals and first responders killed in that horrific 9/11 attack on our nation that took place 22 years ago today, including James Crawford, Timothy Hughes, Patrick McGuire, Peter West, Donald and Jean Peterson. And let us all also remember Jennifer Lyle, Rick Browse, Shade Thomas Cronin, and Sandy Kawakowski, who we just lost recently. And let us pass our thoughts on to the families and friends and all those heroes that came out of September 11th. Thank you. have a motion for the executive minutes of August 14th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Already discussed, all in favor?
Aye.
And a motion for the regular minutes of August 14th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome all. Summer is somewhat behind us, but we'll get back to normal. Just a reminder that our next meeting will be on Wednesday, September 27th, due to Yom Kippur. And a few other things have been going on. As you can see, I am not present. I was away this past weekend, but Madison and Chatham's were able to get the cultural diversity celebration in before the rain started up again. So I want to thank the respective committees and Lisa Ellis for all the organization that supported that great event. And a few weeks ago, I received a call from former council member Pat Rowe, letting me know that he and his wife, Kim, will be calling Florida their new home. Pat moves on from Madison, leaving a legacy of dedication to our residents. He served on the council from January 2014 through December 2019. He was council president in 2018, and prior to that, he had served on Madison Board of Education for 9 years, including 8 years as vice president. He remained active after his time in the council by serving on our audit and utility advisory committee. I first got to know Pat when he was serving on the Green Village Road School Committee. Pat and I didn't always agree, but when there was a disagreement, he always showed the utmost respect to those who may have opposed him. I've always enjoyed the thoughtful discussions between Pat and Ben Wolkowitz, primarily related to the budget and other fiscal issues. His fiscal insight always challenged those at this table to look at financial decisions from multiple angles, and so we always appreciated his thoughtfulness. As I told Pat on the phone, his dedication to Madison has left us in a better place, and we wish Pat and Kim the best as they proudly move on from Madison and settle into their new home in Florida. Also want to touch on, as many know, the Wingate House located at 91 Woodland Road was demolished last week. The original part of the house goes back to 1770. The home had recently passed from a long-time owners to a developer who intended to restore it. After the sale, it was determined that the house had underlying structural issues that were deemed beyond the scope of intended repairs necessary to make the home habitable. The borough, under my direction, explored the opportunities to preserve the house. We looked at an option similar to Luke Miller property, which would have been for the borough to purchase the home, place a deed restriction on it, and then sell it. But after the inspection by Madison construction code official, it was determined the house was structurally unsound and unsafe. The repair, if even possible, could have been extensive and would have greatly diminished the remaining historical features of the structure. As such, that option was not feasible. The poor structural integrity also made relocating the house to another site impossible. Now, just a little background, the Luke Miller house was a different story. The Crone family had restored that house twice. Once when they bought it, and they removed the 1960s improvements, in quotes. They restored the character and made it livable for today's living. They restored it a second time after a Thanksgiving weekend fire. I was there to help them clean up after the devastating fire, and very easily, without their loving care, could have been a loss, but that didn't deter them from bringing it back a second time. So when the borough bought the house, it was structurally and functionally sound. That said, the Luke Miller house, like the Wingate house, would never have been home for a basketball player. It had these challenges of a 200-year-old home. You know, could the Wingate house be saved? Possibly, but certainly was not easy, as I said. I toured the house, witnessed the rotted joists and other issues, and it's difficult to see history taken away, but it's a reminder that not everything can be saved, and it would have taken a heroic effort to save that house. We are looking ways to incentivize homeowners so that we can work together to save our heritage. It is so important to do that. And we hope to be coming back in the near future with proposals to that effect. I also would recommend to those that own special homes that you should look into options to preserve your home as it passes on to others, such as deed restrictions and other ways. It obviously will limit the value, but it'll save a home forever. And shifting from that, our Employee of the Month for September is Bonnie Mulcahy. Everyone knows how Bonnie is so helpful at the recycling center, but she has been also busy here at Hartley Dodge. She was instrumental in organizing and cleaning out old files that have been in the basement for years. The enormous job needed to be done to prepare for the East Wing construction project. Also, for the last several weeks, Bonnie has been helping out in the planning and zoning office while another employee is out on sick leave. And anniversary, Mary Morano, who, if anyone Central Avenue school parents will know, she's been at the corner of Britton Street and Central for 25 years. So she celebrated her 25th year on September 9th, and I know this past Friday, our police chief and others recognized Mary for her 25 years keeping our children safe. And now to assist with the presentation of two proclamations, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, we will be presented to Jonathan Sackett, and also Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. I ask Council President John Hoover to take over.
Thank you, Bob. As you know, I also made a presentation of a proclamation at St. Vincent's Martyr School yesterday for the 175th anniversary. And this is for Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas ovarian cancer is the 5th leading cause of death among women, and the American Cancer Society estimates each year approximately 19,710 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and 13,270 individuals will die from the disease nationwide, including 560 new cases and 350 deaths in New Jersey. And whereas in the United States, a woman's lifetime risk of being diagnosed with ovarian cancer is about 1 in 78, and whereas due to vague symptoms and a lack of reliable early detection tests, most women are not diagnosed until stage 3 or later, when the cancer has already spread to the lymph nodes and outside of the pelvis. And whereas the 5-year survival rate for stage 1 ovarian cancer is over 90%, only 15% of ovarian cancers are diagnosed in this early stage. And the 5-year survival rate for late stage ovarian cancer is below 30%. And whereas while a mammogram can detect breast cancer and pap smear can detect cervical cancer, there is no reliable early detection test for ovarian cancer. And whereas women's lives can be saved through increased public awareness of ovarian cancer and its risk signs, factors, and symptoms. And whereas this month, the Borough of Madison joins all who are battling ovarian cancer, those who have lives lost due to the disease, their loved ones in our states, many dedicated hospital healthcare workers in spreading awareness, committing to public education, and embracing hope for better diagnoses, treatment, and cure. Now, I, therefore, taking the place of Robert H. Connolly, the mayor of the Borough of Madison, on behalf of the governing body, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and encourage all residents to support the cause that so deeply impacts the lives of every family in the community. Someone?
Is Jonathan there to accept? Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm Jonathan Sackett, councilman in Rockaway Township, and this means a lot to my family. My sister, who her mission is to spread ovarian cancer awareness all over the country. She lives in Arizona, grew up in Rockaway Township. She battled ovarian cancer during COVID and breast cancer at the same time. And she traveled from Arizona to Texas to see a specialist and battled and beat the disease. And her mission every year is to get as many proclamations as she can all over the country. And I'm happy to be here tonight. I'm happy to help her to come to the meetings as many as I can. And I really thank you guys for doing this for her. Thank you so much.
Madison, thank you for coming. And thank your wife for her work, and your sister for.
Thanks, John.
Good stuff.
There's a second proclamation that I'd like to read for you now. It's a proclamation of the Borough of Madison proclaiming Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in September 2023. Whereas prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in American men and the third leading cause of cancer death behind lung and colon cancer, and whereas 1 in 8 are diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, and 1 in 6 African American men will develop prostate cancer in their lifetime. Overall, African American men are 1.7 times more likely to be diagnosed with 2.1 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than white men. Whereas veterans who are exposed to herbicides like Agent Orange are at increased risk for developing prostate cancer and are more likely to have an aggressive form of the disease. And whereas education regarding prostate cancer and early detection is critical to saving lives, preserving and protecting our families, as well as reducing the economic and social burden of prostate cancer on families. And whereas if caught early, prostate cancer has 5-year survival rate of nearly 100%. However, for late-stage prostate cancer, the 5-year survival rate is 31%. And whereas many more men will be diagnosed with in 2023 at late stage because of delayed screenings and treatment due to COVID-19, and whereas all men are at risk for prostate cancer, and we encourage the citizens of Madison to increase the importance of remote awareness and screenings. Now, I therefore, I'm replacing Bob Connolly, the Mayor of Borough of Madison, on behalf of the governing body, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in the Borough of Madison. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, John. And we now move on to reports from committees. Community Affairs, John, if you've caught your breath. President Hoover, please.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Downtown Development Commission and the Director of Business Development, Bottle Hill Day will be held Saturday, October 7th this fall. A last call for sponsors and vendors has been sent out. Your paperwork should be returned as soon as possible if you are participating. The second, please visit all the terrific vendors at the Madison Farmers Market on Thursday at Dodge Field from 1 to 6 p.m. The season continues through November 16th and features live music weekly. From the Chamber of Commerce, the Madison Car Show is scheduled for Saturday, October 7th. There will be no rain date, unfortunately. Scarecrows decorated by the businesses will be on display on Waverly Place from October 18th through November 1st. Halloween Parade and Magic Show is scheduled for October 28th from 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. The Taste of Madison has been scheduled for Monday, March 4th at the Madison Hotel, Madison Community Arts Center. The final outdoor concert featuring Pyrenesia, a gypsy jazz band, was on September 8th. Attendance at the six concerts averaged 80 people. 56 musicians were engaged for the summer. The next open mic is
is the music open mic, which will take place September 13th from 8 p.m. at 8 p.m. The Madison Public Library and the adult school will be teaching a total of 9 classes during the day this fall. The weekly drop-in senior mahjong and canasta games continued. The weekly drop-in senior mahjong and canasta games continues on Tuesdays from 1 to 4 p.m. We are nearly 20 players per session. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works and Engineering, Ms. Ehrlich.
Thank you, Mayor. The Engineering Department has updates on 6 projects in progress. The MRC multipurpose courts are nearly complete. Site work, paving, fencing, gates, and backstop installations are done. Colored surfacing of the courts will take place this month, and lighting installation is likely next month. For the Green Avenue pedestrian crosswalks, paving, striping, and signalization was completed last month. Over at Memorial Park, the trail construction work is ongoing with several drainage and safety recommendations to be implemented this month on the nearly finished trail and new boardwalk. This was based on field conditions discovered during construction, and final approval of that work is expected next month. The library interior renovation contract was awarded, and construction is expected to start inside the library early next month. Our drinking water well B facility improvements contract was awarded, and work is expected to take place over the winter and be completed by next summer. And finally, the utility building roof contract negotiations were completed, and we have a resolution tonight to award the contract to that bidder. The Department of Public Works reports that today, 2 first responders from Public Works who assisted on September 11th and in the weeks after took part in the Madison Memorial of blowing the Hartley Dodge Memorial horn in memory of that day. This morning, the horn was blown by Bob Duffy, who responded to the World Trade Center with the Morris Township Police Department to search for victims, and by Ken O'Brien, who assisted the Metuchen Fire Department with funerals for NYC firefighters and memorials, both as a firefighter and a bagpiper. The Parks Department has started installing wood chips and mulch at the dog park as part of a recommendation from the Parks Advisory Committee to hopefully have better footing and less muddy conditions during wet weather. That work should be completed this week. And the Roads Department cleaned up and opened up the rain gardens at the MRC to allow for better water flow. Riverstone has been installed to slow the flow of stormwater and allow the rainwater to infiltrate into the aquifer. We have a great report about the tour that was held yesterday. The Madison Environmental Commission helped to organize the tour. And the MEC Chair, Claire Whitcomb, sent a great report and summary of the tour. She wrote that some 250 tour goers came out to support the work of the Friends of the Madison Public Library. They got to tour beautiful Madison homes, including 6 with super energy efficient designs and 4 with native plant gardens, and that the native plant sale that was hosted in conjunction with the tour was a great success. I'll mention that my home was on the tour circuit, and I had so many great conversations with neighbors who wanted to know more about how at my house we replaced our steam boiler and radiators with heat pumps. Heat pumps use electricity to capture free energy from the outside air, even on the coldest days of winter, and they bring it inside to heat our home and make it comfortable all winter. And in the summer, heat pumps are air conditioners, which is a very efficient 2-for-1 system that runs off renewable energy from my rooftop solar panels. I never miss a chance to explain the magic of heat pumps, and I got to explain it to literally hundreds of people at my home yesterday. It was a big day. In summary, Madison is fortunate to have great volunteers who organized the tour, people who opened their homes for the afternoon, and local talent, including Tom Salaki, a landscape architect, and Chris Kellogg, an architect specializing in sustainable design, both of whom have helped their neighbors create transformative projects and had their homes and gardens open for part of the tour. So a big thank you to everyone that participated, both the ticket holders, the volunteers, the homeowners. It was a great event, and a lot of people got to learn from their neighbors. It was a community building day, and I think people got a lot of great ideas, which is the best we could hope for. While we were supporting the library, it was a great event, so thanks to everyone who participated. That's all.
Thank you. Utilities, Mr. Landrigan.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Electric Department, on Monday, August 28th, the standby crew was called out to 15 Lee Drive for a broken branch on their house service. On August 29th at 8:30 a.m., a garbage truck knocked down a utility pole, transformer wires, and a fire hydrant on Holden Lane. The entire department worked until 8:15 p.m. to remove the garbage truck from the tangled mess of wires, replace the utility pole, hang a new transformer, and transfer our equipment to restore power to Holden Lane. Early on Saturday morning of September 6th, around 1:30 a.m., the standby crew responded to a car utility pole fire hydrant accident at the intersection of Woodland Road and Delwood Parkway. On September 6th, the electric department hooked up the underground service at 16 Waverly Place. The department set a new utility pole at the library parking lot for electric service to the temporary trailer that will be used by the library staff during renovation. A new street light will also be installed on the pole. The department also has been busy cutting down broken branches all around town that endanger our utility wires. Okay, from the water department, a fire hydrant was replaced on Holden Lane due to a motor vehicle accident. The water service to the drinking fountains at the MRC ruptured and was excavated and repaired. The Madison Water Department's annual fire hydrant and water main flushing program will begin on or about the week of September 18th and is estimated to last 6 weeks. While fire hydrant flushing typically will not interrupt water service, residents may notice a temporary drop in their water pressure while crews are working in the area. There is also the possibility that the water may become temporarily discolored. This is normal. The discolored water does not pose a health hazard at all. If discolored water occurs, simply run the cold water for a few minutes until it clears. If you have any questions regarding fire hydrant flushing, please call the Madison Water Department at 973-966-7330. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Safety, Mr. Range.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Police Department, the Madison Police Department personnel took part in the Morris County September 11th vigil that was held at the Morris County 9/11 Memorial over the weekend. We keep all of those who made the ultimate sacrifice in our thoughts and prayers. As Madison schools opened up this week, the Police Department was busy preparing. We want to remind residents, and everybody else for that matter, to obey all crossing guards, yield to pedestrian traffic, and obey the posted speed limits, both in our school zones and around town. You will see officers in school zones enforcing all of the above violations. Thank you and have a great school year. The Madison Police Traffic Safety Bureau has been working with Kings Road residents regarding speeding complaints. There was a traffic study this past August, and that detail of that report is available on the Police Department webpage under the Traffic Safety Bureau tab on rosenet.org. We'll be hearing more about this study as part of our agenda discussion in a little bit, and we have an ordinance for introduction on the agenda later that is a direct result of this report and that feedback from residents. All Madison Fire Police Department personnel are currently performing mandatory training this month, as mandated by the New Jersey Attorney General, on the topic of law enforcement in the Asian American Pacific Islander community. And from the Fire Department, for the month of August, the Fire Department responded to 15 general alarms, 22 still alarms, 27 investigations, 42 EMS calls, and that's a total of 106 calls. In addition, the fire department also performed 74 inspections. The department has also recently responded to several motor vehicle incidents and accidents. One involved a garbage truck that took out both a fire hydrant and telephone pole, which resulted in power and water outage in Holden Lane, as we heard from Councilman Landrigan's and Ehrlich's reports. So a whole of government response there from across our borough departments. There was also a serious accident at the intersection of Woodland and Prospect recently. A woman and her 2-year-old child escaped serious injury due to seatbelts and a properly installed and used child car seat. It's just a strong reminder of the power of the proper use of seatbelts, child seats, and other vehicle safety features. On August 20th, the department responded to a 3-alarm structure fire on Ridgedale Avenue in Morristown as part of a mutual aid agreement. On Friday, September 8th, a heavy thunderstorm rolled into Madison, and a house on Keep Street was struck by a large tree branch, injuring a woman in her home. Another large tree branch fell on a home on Wilson Lane, resulting in damage to home and vehicle in the driveway. And lastly, tonight, in addition to remembering those lost in the 9/11 attacks, including those that we mentioned at the start of the meeting, I'd like to personally acknowledge those from Madison's police and fire departments, some of whom are still on those forces today, 22 years later, who answered the call and headed to New York City that September morning. Thank you to them and to all the first responders who responded on 9/11 and the days and weeks that followed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Health, Mr. Howard Putis.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Board of Health, headed up by Bloomfield Department Head Maya Lordo. Is that for me? Is that for me? Sorry. I think yours is better. I'll move it away. Maybe that's better. I'm speaking too loud. Sorry, Jim. All right. It's not much of a report. Health education in the borough. On the National Night Out on August 1st, the Board of Health was there and they distributed 50 resource bags to the community. They have been meeting with the Madison YMCA, RE teen mental health issues and first aid programming, which they're going to support. There's a quarterly webinar back to school for children's mental health and childhood immunizations. And on August 17th, we had a joint meeting with the Madison public school officials about vaping programming, anti-vaping programming, which is still being addressed to redo our borough code. We conducted monthly blood pressure clinics on August 18th. We continue to survey communicable diseases in our long-term care facilities. There's no outbreaks to report right now. And there's 2 ongoing cases of some, extreme illnesses, one Lyme disease case, and one is called Legionellosis, which I had to look up because I didn't know what it was. It's a pneumonia that you get from contaminated water through spraying, like if you're a landscaper around a swampy area. So there's one case like that the Borough of Health is monitoring. We continue to inspect the commercial businesses in town for compliance with our borough code for serving food. And we also have a few residents in town that are under investigation for some minor violations. Nothing else to report, Mayor.
Thank you. And Finance and Borough Clerk, Mr. Forte.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Finance Department, the 2024 budget process has started.
I think it's because of Bob.
Over the next month, administration will be meeting with department heads to discuss budgets. This process should be completed by the end of October, and it serves as foundation for the Chief Financial Officer to build the budget. We anticipate following a schedule similar to last year with a public presentation on capital in December and the Open Space Trust Fund in early January. From the tax collector, the third quarter tax collection cycle is over, and the tax collector reports that over 98% of the taxes due have been collected. The annual tax sale process is starting. The sale will be held on December 7th, and warning letters were sent out today to property owners who still owe a balance on their 2022 taxes or utilities. Any properties with prior year balances still outstanding on the day of sale will have a lien placed on their property. The tax sale process is a way for municipalities in New Jersey to obtain the full amount of property taxes and other charges needed to support the annual budget, while providing the property owner with additional time to pay off what they owe. Anyone with questions about the tax sale process is encouraged to contact the tax collector's office for more information. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And it's been brought to my attention that it's very warm in the council chambers. So council members that are wearing jackets, if you need to take it off, I think no one will be offended. And of course, I'm not even wearing one here, and it's a bit cooler. So please make sure you're comfortable. And we'll now move on to communication petitions.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor and Council received an email dated September the 10th from resident Corey Roffelson of Green Village Road regarding a minor subdivision at 133 Green Village Road. That's it.
Thank you. All right, we now move on to the first of two invitations for public discussion. This is limited to discussion agenda items and resolutions. If you want to comment on any other topic, that'll be coming up a little bit later in the meeting. These are the items you can comment on this session. One, we'll have a Drew Forest update during the agenda discussions, and also the already mentioned amending the Chapter 185 Borough Code, which is the Kings Road speed limit. So you can comment on those, or you may comment on the following resolutions. Resolution 246, appointing Brianna Diamond to the position of Municipal Court Administrator for the Joint Municipal Court of Madison and Chathams in Morris Township, effective October 2nd, at an annual salary of $100,000. Resolution 247 is authorizing an agreement between the Borough of Madison and Madison Volunteer Ambulance Corps regarding the 2022 ambulance. There will be a memorandum of understanding and lease with the Madison Ambulance Corps that we will take care of. Resolution 248 is authorizing an establishment of a $100 change fund to be used by the utility billing office. Resolution 249 is authorizing execution of an electric utility easement agreement with various property owners adjacent to the 14 Lincoln Place in the Borough of Madison. This is the former movie theater site project. Resolution 250 is awarding contract for utility building roof repairs to Joseph Doherty of Madison in the amount of $150,000. This is funded through Ordinance 4-2023. Resolution 251 is authorized the developers agreement between the Borough of Madison and Angelica Properties for Block 1302, Lots 7 and 8 along Park. And Resolution 252 is appointing Patricia Pfluger and Roseanne Tremondo to a position of substitute crossing guards. Resolution 263 is authorized, I need my new glasses. 253 is authorizing a purchase of Mean Green electric zero-turn mower for the Department of Public Works from Kenville Power Equipment of Kenville. This is not to exceed $52,188 and is funded through Ordinance 43-2023. Resolution 254 is authorized the placement of closing textile donation bin by the Volunteer Ambulance Corps parking lot by Millennial International Textile of Flanders. Resolution 255 is approving raffle license submitted by Grace Episcopal Church for October 21st. Resolution 256 approving raffle license application submitted by Hickory Tree Chorus for November 11th, 2023. And that is it. So those are resolutions you may comment on, or the two discussion items. If you wish to comment on those, please step forward, state your name, address, write the same on the clipboard, and then also state the agenda item or resolution you're commenting on, and then try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but we do give you a 1 minute grace period.
Hi, so I guess I get 3 minutes. I'll try to be quick. My name is Patrick Wisdom from 282 Kings Road. I'm here in support and collaboration with the police department, the ordinance around Kings Road speed limit. So we moved here 4 years ago, my wife and I, with our two kids, who are now 7 and 9, I think. 7 and 9, yes. And look, I'd like to say thank you to the council and to the police department. It's a wonderful community, so thank you to each of you and to your predecessors. When we moved, we knew that Kings Road was a relatively heavily traveled road, but even during COVID, when we were home a lot, it gave us a lot of insight into what was actually happening on the road. And the speed limit is quite excessive. I think people using it to bypass Main Street, are looking for a faster way to get around traffic, and are certainly using it that way. Since we've been there, there are now, just in the 3 homes near us and across, is at least 15 children under the age of 10 within like 5 houses of us, quite honestly. And I know Councilwoman Ehrlich lives on the road, and there's another group of kids that live just down there. It's just too fast. I'd like to thank Captain Longo and the police department for being so responsive to my notes and my slightly harassing emails, and have been incredibly professional in their response. So, look, I appreciate that it's on the agenda for this evening. I know that just changing the speed limit won't necessarily change everything that happens on the road, but I think it will create a really good signal to people that, you know, it's an area where there are a lot of children, there's a school, and I think it's really important for the safety of our children and the children of my neighbors. So I appreciate it being on the agenda, and I'd appreciate seeing it passed and implemented pretty quickly. So thank you very much, and again, thank you to the police department for their cooperation.
Thank you, Patrick. And as you mentioned, this we'll be discussing this shortly, but I think one of the key things you hit on is 25 just sends a different message than 30. It's just 5 miles in one way. Someone may say that's not a whole lot of difference, but it's just 25 reminds you it's residential, and that's what this is about. Anyone else wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting, and we will now move on to our agenda discussion. So I'll just share a Drew University update. I know I've done this a little bit during comments, but I wanted to do it separately this time so we can have any comments from the council and get a more thorough update. And obviously this is related to our goal to purchase and forever preserve the Drew Forest. And for those that were at a meeting several months ago, don't worry, I'm not going to reread the AI-generated paper that I shared a while back. So here are a few things that are going on. In June, we submitted the $10 million application to the Morris County Open Space Committee. This grant, should it be approved, would represent the match the largest grant given by the county. There was $10 million given to purchase what is now Giralda Park. So this is a substantial grant that would be coming from Morris County Open Space, which is supported by your tax dollars. We also, Senator Booker and Congresswoman Sherrill have both put forward federal grant proposals. If they were to come to fruition and funded in full, it could bring an additional $7.5 million towards the funding of the purchase of the forest. The grant application, at this point, won't be sharing what the offers we made to Drew, but the grant application is based on an offer that we made to Drew University to purchase the forest. And so hopefully, while we have not come to agreement on purchase price, we are still very optimistic that that will happen, especially if the funding is in place, because that, as the saying goes, you put money where your mouth is, that would go a long ways. Things that are going on related to the county reviewing the application. Prior to COVID, they made site visits, but now rely on video being submitted as part of the application. So we put together an excellent video which was produced by resident Paul Morgan. As this is part of the application, it cannot be shared this time, but we hope at some point to share it because it really is an excellent video and tells a great story of the value of the Drew Forest. And as putting the video together, I mentioned before, but I do want to thank Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill and State Senator Anthony Bucco Jr., who added their support during the video and also has put written letters of support for the grant. The County Open Space Committee met on September 6th. The application was discussed in executive session, so we have nothing to share at this point. I know we had some blue Save the Drew Forest shirts, as we have in the room right now, that showed up at the county to be there in force to remind all those on the committee that this is a very broad, supported application. And so I thank the Friends of Drew Forest for being there, but of course their leadership all along the ways. And the next steps, as mentioned, the County Open Space Committee will use the video for virtual tour of the site, but we know that many members have already visited or may be visiting the forest in the near future before they take further action. The committee will meet and we will do a short presentation in October, and they will vote on the application later in October. The County Open Space Committee, much like the Madison Open Space Committee, serves as an advisory board. So this is just a recommendation that goes to the county commissioners for their vote. So it would then be finally approved by the county commissioners, and many of the commissioners have already visited the site. And one of the things that really makes this application stand out is, again, the Friends of the Drew Forest, the county residents, and many municipalities that have helped support it, have either passed resolutions for the municipalities, signed petitions, put signs out. It's not going unnoticed. People know that this is a priority. So that pretty much is the update. Jim, do you have anything else to fill in there, and other council members? And a reminder to the council members that I cannot see all of you, so just rotate around if you have comments to add.
Nothing to add from my side, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Anything from the council? Okay, so that's the update. All right, we will move on to the second discussion item, and that is amending Chapter 185 of the Borough Code, Kings Road School speed limit. I believe that Captain Longo is in. There we go, Captain.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be short. The Jets just tied it 3-3, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. First off, I want to commend Lieutenant Plumstead and Joe DeRocco of the Traffic Safety Unit. They were the ones that actually handled the complaint from start to finish. I'm the only one. I'm just here doing the presentation. They did all the work. This is about the Kings Road speed study. The evaluation was done by the two of them. They met with the local residents and submitted a memo based on recommendation to the Complete Streets Committee to get a lower speed limit from 30 miles an hour to 25. The area of Kings Road we're talking about is just from Prospect Street to the town line. And I have to remind you, Chatham Borough, the speed limit in Chatham Borough is 25 miles an hour already, Mayor. The last time we did a speed adjustment was roughly 2009. John Keemer was traffic safety sergeant. It was done on Ridgedale Avenue, reducing the traffic speed limit from 35 to 30. The other streets in Madison, the only other street at Ridgedale is a 30 mile an hour speed limit. Every other municipal roadway in Madison is 25. I'm not going to read from slides, but this evaluation, there's two separate speed studies done. One was done in August. Again, let me remind everyone, it was done in the vicinity of Kings Road School. However, August school is not in session, so school did not hamper or provide inadequate results of the study. There was a second study. Again, someone made mention of it. You can go on rosenet.org under the Traffic Safety Bureau webpage and pull up any traffic study. But the last one on Kings Road was done in 2020, and that was done closer to Arlena Court. With the results of the study, I'm not an engineer. However, the engineers would say they use a term called the 85th percentile. The 85th percentile is 85% of the vehicle speed going at or above the speed limit. So that's the terminology we use. And in this case, I think the 85th, was 29 miles an hour. Interestingly enough, in 2020, when we did the last speed evaluation, the evaluations pretty much showed the same sort of data. You could strike the fastest speed from the, it could be a speeding police car or whatever the case may be. So we try to eliminate fastest speeds, slowest speeds. We try to not put it by a intersection, but you're always going to get a vehicle possibly backing out of a driveway, Amazon driver traveling the roadway at a very slow speed. Michael, can you go back? In addition to the Traffic Safety Bureau, I want to thank Michael Pelletier for creating this terrific slideshow. So, one more behind. 21,000 vehicles traveled Kings Road. It's a heavy density of traffic. This is a 6-day study, I believe. The previous study done in November 2020 was roughly 29,000. Again, you're dealing with August traffic when everyone's down the shore versus, so this may be a little light compared to everyday traffic. If you take that, divide it out by the days of the study, which the study was 6 days, and divide it out by 18 hours, because nobody drives on Kings Road late at night, it's roughly like 180 80 to 200 vehicles per hour on Kings Road. It's heavy traffic. It's a heavy traveled street. The two evaluations do justify the need to drop the speed limit. I wouldn't say need, but it justifies dropping the speed limit. Because, theoretically, is there a need? No. However, what I think we could do in reducing the rate, because what happens is road design affects the speed of vehicles, not speed limits. You could take all the speed limits down and you're still going to get the same speed limits. But there's other things we can do that may drop the speed limit, and that's going to be done. We're going to do better signage. You travel Kings Road School, you'll see it's oversigned. There's 50 signs between Brunn Street and Seaman. 50 signs, 50. Most of them are faded. So sign pollution, when you put up a lot of signs, people tend not to look at them. So all the signs have to be redone. This is the perfect time to do it because we can replace the 30-mile-an-hour speed signs with 25. We could also install, and again, I'll let this process be done by Joe DeRocco and submitted to Complete Streets. If we decide to put an electronic speed sign like you see on Noe Avenue on Kings Road, or adding a mid-block crosswalk. So I think with the other, traffic calming, measures we take, the speed should come down. And whenever we do something drastic, and reducing a speed limit is drastic, we'll do another speed evaluation. There was actually 3. It just wasn't posted to Rosenet, and I wasn't going in the filing cabinet today to look for it. So I think 2 is quite adequate, especially in 3 years. So that the dropping the speed limit does, fit the need. And I think we could do a little better with some traffic calming measures to, I guess, help this along. Again, cleaning up the street signs and whatnot. One thing I did was I did a quick 3-year history motor vehicle crash. Typically, what an engineer will tell you is that a motor vehicle accident history will make a just cause in determining the reduction of a speed limit, but it wasn't there. I think in total, there's probably like 18 crashes on Kings Road, and most of them were at Kings Road, Green Village Road. Madison train station, I think there was only 6 in the past 3 years on, let's just say that eastern side of Kings Road. 2 of them or 3 of them are at Sampson and Kings. Most accidents occur, not so much because of speed. You got to remember there's a lot of other factors involved. Driver inattention is the main reason why accidents occur. So again, speed in this case, for accident history, it just was not there. But the police department does endorse this. Like I said, DeRocco and Plumstead did a great job. I mean, they submitted this evaluation to the chief of police in Complete Streets, and that's why I'm here, basically hoping the council endorses it, which I know you are because you have an ordinance on the table. And with that, I think I can answer any questions so I can go home.
Joe, you mentioned...
Any questions for Captain?
You mentioned traffic calming.
Correct.
I noticed in the Chatham portion of it, they put like this, what I'll call buffer in the middle. It's like Madison colors.
The Madison maroon?
Yeah, Madison maroon, which has the effect of making it much narrower than it is. That might be an option that we could try. I don't know if it's doable, if the road width is different, I don't know. And the other thing is, aside from the speed limit sign, if we put signs saying children at play, I don't know if it'll help, but if you see a number of signs saying many children live here or something along those lines, it can help drive home the point that, hey guys, you got to slow down, there's kids around here. Yeah,
100% tightening up the avenue or the width of the travel lane will reduce the speed.
Yeah.
Especially on Kings Road, having a single yellow line versus a double will also, when you put 2 lines on, it provides the driver with some, 40-mile-an-hour zone versus a single line. So yes, there is a lot of things to your credit. We could do to again work on that, and this discussion against Complete Streets that we are going to be replacing the signs and putting these other traffic calming measures in place. And there was another question, Ms. Schuver.
Yeah, well, one of the thoughts that I had as you were going through your presentation, which by the way is excellent. Excellent.
Thank you. Can't credit me, DeRocco and Plumstead.
Seriously.
I just presented. I'm good.
Is enforcement. How do you enforce the speed limit, the new speed limit?
I mean, what we'll do is typically, and I got to be honest with you, when we did Woodland Road, paved Woodland Road in Garfield, I put a memo out, and not only the traffic officers, but the patrolmen too will make that their street of the week. And I think anybody that lives on Woodland can attest there was a lot of police activity and car stops on Woodland Road following the paving. We try to set the standard right off the bat and, let them know that speeding won't be accepted or tolerated once a street is paved. So what we'll do is, and once the Kings Road is re-signed and maybe some of the other things are done, we'll make that the street of the month, and you'll see a lot of police activity, and they'll spread the word when they see the police cars with the emergency lights on. Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Thomas.
And yet,
Captain Thomas, Captain. Yes, Thomas.
No. So the electronic speed limit sign that you're going to put, or the radar sign, where we're planning on?
What I like to do is I have my ideas, but I'm going to let Joe DeRocco and Sean Plumstead share me, and whether or not I, veto them, it will be another story. But, we'll see. I want to see what they come up with. The one thing we are trying to, there's a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of, you go to some of these other towns, there's a lot of different radar signs out there. We have two now. We have the older version, and we have the newer version. The newer version, the technology is a little better. It's a little more cost-friendly. It's what you see on Noe Avenue and on Central Avenue versus what you would see on Greenwood Avenue and Rosedale Avenue.
And Palmer.
So, excuse me, and, yours is temporary. Permanently temporary.
Okay.
But yours is
do you like the one when you're going east on Kings Road and you enter into Chatham, it's kind of telling you, you have to slow down.
Correct.
And then there's also one on Lafayette when you come off of Main Street.
Yes.
Talking to as soon as you go under the train trestle.
So Chatham is one of those towns where they have three different makes and models, and I'm not really a fan of that. I like uniformity. Yeah. The one on Lafayette is the one, and they also have it on North Passaic. That's the one that's on Noe and on Central Avenue.
Right.
And over time, what I'd like to do is replace the one on Greenwood, Rosedale, and Ridgedale by the high school with that same make and model. So aesthetically, Madison looks good.
I think it's a deterrent. Definitely gets your attention as soon as you're approaching those signs.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially, too, with the mid-block crosswalks, again, myself and Bob Vogel talk about it. We're not looking to overpopulate Madison with these things. There's a need. Everyone may want one, but there may be places that we feel that are better places. But our intention is not to put a million flashing, blinking light signs on every street. However, where we believe there's a need is where we think we're going to put one.
Yeah. Eventually, Green Village Road too, maybe by Torrey J, by Glen Wall.
That's a whole.
We had that study together. We were close.
That's an intersection redesign there.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Any other questions or comments?
Mayor, I have a couple comments. Thank you, Captain. This was a great presentation. I want to thank the Complete Streets Committee for discussion and support of this change. It came up this summer, and it was already in discussion thanks to Mr. Wisnow being a tireless advocate for this change. And so when he once again reached out to the police department this summer, the change was in the air, and I also want to thank Sergeant Plumstead and Corporal DeRocco for their very timely and professional response to your inquiry. They did a great job both responding to the advocacy and then following up with the study and this great memo. So great response by the borough. And the other thing I want to mention is that, we have nearly complete bike lanes on Kings Road. They are narrow and they're paint only, so they're not protected bike lanes. But it is a great commuting route to get to the train station, and it is harrowing when a car speeds by you at 35 miles per hour. In fact, the speed study that was done this past summer found that the 85th percentile that you mentioned, the vehicle speed had risen by 4 miles per hour from the previous study in 2020, from 31 miles per hour at that time to 35 miles per hour in 2023, which tracks with the spike in speeding and generally more aggressive driving that we've seen across the state. And so, we at all levels need to be thinking about what we can do to make sure that our roads are safe for all users, that our roadways are designed for people getting around and living here, not just cars speeding through. And I'm really excited that we have this discussion tonight and that we'll be introducing an ordinance to make this change. So thanks to everyone that took part in it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
One question, Mayor. Joe?
Yes, Johnny.
Could we get the temporary signage out there? In lieu of having a permanent electronic sign in the meantime?
Oh, yeah, we're going to order the sign. I mean, this is an ordinance, so...
No, but I mean the portable electronic sign that you guys have out.
Oh, yeah, of course. When the time comes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sort of notify people.
Yeah, like the message board.
Right, yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay. So people will know that there's a
Just
change.
Reminder.
Right. Okay.
We're watching, like Santa Claus.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, Captain, one question I forgot to mention. Can you tell us the timeline for implementation, generally speaking, once the ordinance is amended?
So everyone just be a little patient because I think the ordinance takes, 2 weeks?
We'll vote on the 27th of September.
Yeah, and then we'll have to order the signs. I want to see about, my great traffic officer has to come back to work. He did have a baby, so one of his first things on his to-do list will be to go through all the signage on Kings Road and make a list of what needs to be replaced, and we're going to come in there and get it all done in one shot. But, we will make that happen. It's a priority for him, so it's just a matter of him, going out there and doing a figure on what's needed and what needs to be replaced. So we'll get it done ASAP.
This fall?
100%, by Halloween.
By Halloween.
There you go. I'll be trick-or-treating with my kids on Kings Road.
That's right.
Be sure the speed limit's 25 then.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate your presentation, and all this is shows a great way where the system works.
Very good.
So this is ordinance
Thank you, Mayor.
48-2023 that's listed for introduction. And we now move on to ordinance for hearing, which we have none for tonight. So this is now the time for second invitation for public comment. This is when you may comment on any topic. Same rules apply. Step up to the lectern, state your name and address, write the same on the clipboard. Try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but we'll give you a 1 minute grace. Yep.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Colette Kreskis. I live on 7 Albright Circle. And I'm representing the Drew Forest this evening. Mayor Conley really briefed everyone already about the Open Space Committee grant, but I wanted to follow up quickly that there were 40 people, Friends of the Drew Forest, as well as other supporters at the Open Space Committee meeting last Wednesday. So that was really, really positive. In addition, Christine Clark, the Democratic candidate for the New Jersey State Senate, was present, and you can imagine how exciting it was. Lots of positive energy, and standing room only because we had such good coverage there. So the Open Space Committee heard from Judy Kroll, Lydia Chambers, Claire Whitcomb, and other members of the Friends of the Forest. They spoke about the environmental and ecological value of the forest, as well as the economic value to Madison and to Drew University. They educated the committee about the Buried Valley aquifers and how Madison and other nearby towns receive most, if not 100% of their water excuse me, from these underground water-bearing beds. They discussed carbon sequestration conducted by these mature trees and heat islands that are prevented as a result of the forest. They also listed the names of the 7 towns that have sent resolutions to the governing body of Madison in support of preserving the forest. And they also listed similar endorsements from important New Jersey environmental organizations, including the Great Swamp Watershed Association. And another friend of the forest, Lisa Leone, who is a Drew alum, spoke about her valuable experience studying environmental sciences in the Drew Forest and discussed how her experience guided her and paved her career in environmental organizations. Additional speakers and supporters outside of the Friends of the Drew Forest were from Madison, Chatham, Parsippany, Denville, Mendham, Millington, and Randolph. So it was really exciting. And topics range from personal stories about how the forest benefits mental health to scientific studies of ecologically diverse forests, as well as detailed information about the preservation of environmentally valuable land. And following the meeting, Claire Whitcomb stated, quote, "What they heard was personal and passionate and will shape the story of what follows." And she continued to say that it was a huge opportunity and the Friends of the Forest and its supporters nailed it. And indeed we did. It was good. So thank you very much. We support Madison and the Open Space Committee grant application. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cora. Thank you and please thank everyone that showed up. That's a great turnout, great report. Anyone else wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. We now move on to introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Ordinances scheduled for first reading have a hearing date set for Wednesday, September the 27th, 2023. All will be published in the Madison Eagle, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the public requesting copies.
I call up ordinances for first reading. I ask the Borough Clerk to read said ordinances by title. Ordinance 45-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison rescinding Chapter 195-42 of the Borough Code entitled Appeals, permitting review by Borough Council and Planning Board final decisions.
Mayor, I move ordinance 45-2023.
Second.
And just for understanding of everyone, this clarifies code. For the most part, you cannot appeal a planning board decision to an elected body. We have to go through the court. There is one exception, which is a D variance, which is very rare, so it makes it a cleaner and more succinct process. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich? Yes. Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis?
I'll abstain from ordinance 45-2023.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Ordinance 46-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $275,000 from the Electric Capital Improvement Fund for the purchase of 5 new pad mount transformers and accessories.
Mayor, I move ordinance 46-2023.
Second.
And this is part of the capital budget. Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich? Yes. Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Ordinance 47-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison amending Chapter 34 of the Code of the Borough of Madison entitled Police Department, establishing promotional procedures for the ranks of police chief, lieutenant, and sergeant, and establishing a procedure for acting appointments and hiring police officers.
Mayor, I move ordinance 47-2023.
Second.
And just a little color on this. This ordinance really has to do with appointments and hiring of police officers. These changes will provide our police leadership the opportunity and the flexibility to hire not only how we do today, which is we go to the various police academies, Morris County. We've also hired out of the Essex County Academy, where those candidates are already going through the academy. This ordinance would allow us to identify a candidate and then hire them in the Madison Police Department and then put them through the academy as, I don't want to say an alternate route, but another avenue to get high quality, dedicated police officers in the borough. So we think that this is a way we can do this and not something, and John, I don't know if you want to share your comment from earlier, but not something we haven't done before in the past. So.
Yeah, I guess to clarify that, I made the comment that when my grandfather was hired as a Madison police officer, The town actually hired him and then sent him to the police academy. So this is not unprecedented.
Any other comments or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich? Yes. Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Raines?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Ordinance 48-2023.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison amending Chapter 185 of the Borough Code, Schedule 16, entitled Speed Limits to Reduce the Speed Limit on Kings Road.
Mayor, I move ordinance 48-2023.
Second.
We've already had discussion, but any further discussion on this? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich? Yes. Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
All right, we now move on to consent agenda resolutions. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move approval of resolutions 246-2023 through resolution 257-2023.
Second.
Any discussion or any that need to be pulled? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis?
Yes, but I'll abstain from Resolution 249, 2023.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Thank you. There is no unfinished business. Approval of vouchers. Will the clerk please read the voucher totals?
Yes, from the current fund, $6,989,676.24. From the general capital fund, $21,284.02. From the electric operating fund, $526,001.92. From the electric capital fund, $19,904.80. From the water operating fund, $5,684.11. And from the trust, $285,715 even. The total is $7,848,266.09.
Mayor, I move approval of the vouchers.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan Putis?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
All right, and under new business, I would like to make the following appointment requesting council confirmation for unexpired two-year term through December 31st, 2024. Deshaun Mahbubani, Stonehenge Lane, alternate member number 2. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And I think we're on to Mr. Forte.
Mayor, I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all, and remember, next meeting is on the Wednesday, the 27th. Take care, all.